Hey guys, this is a project's been sitting at my shop for this guy's been waiting for a long time for me to get this done. Um, anyway, finally got it back from the machine shop. Machine shop's had it for probably a good 2 to 3 months. I'm thinking somewhere in that range. Anyway, this is a 7.3 powerstroke. This is one of the YouTube viewers bought this thing down from the Portland area quite a while back, and we're getting it back together. But anyways, what was going on here, he bought this pickup from a logger or something, and they basically dusted the engine. It had a lot of blow by on it, and you could tell when you started cranking on this thing how freely it spun over. Usually when they spin really, really fast, they either got really good batteries in them or they got low compression. And this one had low compression. You could pull the fill cap off of it and it was just a steam cloud coming out the fill cap. But anyways, no rod and main bearing failures, no cam failures, so it's all going back to standard bearings. That's why I'm not plastic gauging anything, because it didn't have any problems with any of that stuff. The machine shop put the cam bearings in it. So I actually, as I'm talking right now, I'm physically checking to make sure they lined all the oil holes up on the cam bearings. And so I'm not going to plastic gauge any of the mains because there's just really no need to do that. All the bearings are standard, and there was no rod. I didn't have a crank reground. I didn't have anything done to the cam. So they should be fine. You just got to verify your bearing numbers and make sure that I even took an outside Mac and measured my thicknesses on my bearings in comparison to the new ones, and they're right almost exactly the same. So that kind of will eliminate. You can measure your bearing journals too, so that'll tell you a little bit too. So anyways, I'll continue on here with the regular video. Okay. Go. Okay, now we'll get our bearing caps over here on the bench here. Get them all set up. I broke my Leatherman I had for years. I was twisting on something the other day, and the damn jaws right here. Jaws right there where it pivots just snapped right off. Really kind of surprised that happened. Them Leathermans are usually pretty damn tough and almost indestructible, but my wife says I could screw anything up. Oh my gosh, getting some of this stuff unpacked is just irritating sometimes. Let me get my glasses because I like to read the back of the bearing if they're marked. Make sure they say standard on them so we don't get in trouble. Now, if you're a novice at this, I mean, when you're doing your bearings, just common sense. You know, your one where your main rifle comes in is going to have a hole in it, and those are going to be your upper bearings. Your lowers aren't going to have oil feed holes in them in the bearing cap. Okay, this is number, it's going to be the end one here. Yeah, that should be, I thought they were numbered. Oh, that says a number 1 on it. Okay. That's number 1. And the arrow is pointing that way. That's the front of the engine block. And another way you can tell is your bearing tangs will be on the same side of the engine. It does not hurt to prelude the threads on your bolts. What I like to do is put a little bit of oil right here on the cap. That way when that shoulder grabs it, it doesn't bind up most of the time anyway. I even put a little bit of oil on the shoulders themselves. Just go nice and easy. I'm not torquing them down or anything, so pretty much kind of just once we torque them down, start torquing the sequence on them. We'll start from the center of the bearing or the engine there, and work our way out just like you do anything else. Most of these older engines, like this old 7.3, I mean, they pretty much kind of just go together as a normal engine. When you do something like I did that 6.7, I mean, it's just, you realize how some of this new stuff is, they've gone cheap and they went to these tangless bearings, and that's exactly what it is all about. They've gone cheap, And there's some misunderstandings too. A lot of guys are thinking that bearing tangs keep the bearing from spinning. Well, a bearing tang does not keep the bearing from spinning. The only thing a bearing tang does is it facilitates the centering of the bearing so it's aligned properly, which I like. I do really like that. I think that's the right way to do an engine. I don't really agree with these newer style engines where these lazy bastards, cheap bastards, are putting tangless bearings in them. I think it's just a cheap way to go. It makes the guy who's putting it together, he has to be on top of his game, and when he puts his bearing caps in there, he better damn well make sure that they're centered in the cap, because on a tangless bearing, it is really easy to not get your, no, that's the wrong bolt there. It's really easy on a tangless bearing to not get it centered correctly and screw up. So you just got to really pay attention on them newer engines when you're putting them together. And something like I can tell you on this engine here, that 6.7, one thing so I was putting that thing together and I had the piston cooling nozzles in it, and I kind of put the cart before the horse on it, and I decided to, oh, you know what, I forgot, I need to hone that. I took a ball hone in there, and I had to crank out, but I had the piston cooling nozzles in. Well, I barely bumped one of those piston cooling nozzles with that ball hone. And a ball hone's just got wire and some ball hanging off, multiple wires on it. I mean, it's not that stiff. It bent one of those. I straightened it back out and lined it back up with the piston when I ran it down the bottom dead center to make sure it was squirting in the right spot. But these 7.3s, yeah, you can sit there and tweak it. You can't hardly bend them. I mean, it's way, way, way heavier duty engine. To me, this is a way better engine than that 6.7. Yeah, them 6.7s, they got a lot of power and all that stuff. I just look at the way that it's assembled and the way it, like this engine or a 24 valve Cummins is assembled, and I just think these are way, way better engines than the new ones. I pretty much don't really like most of the new stuff that's out. I think it's kind of fits right in with the rest of America. I don't really like it. Do not turn the crankshaft while performing the main bearing. I'm not doing that. Alright, starting one, 76 foot-pound. 96 foot-pounds, okay. So basically they're starting let's see here. They're starting on the outside bolts. 1, 2 on the outside, 3, 4. So basically they're doing, I know what they're doing. So what do they want? They're 76 for the first stage, 96 for the second stage. A wise thing to do is make sure after you torque it that it still turns freely, doesn't bind up. My wife got me this torque wrench for Christmas. It's a Harbor Freight. It's a Quinn one, you know what, but I read the reviews on them. I told her I wanted one because I didn't hear anything bad about them. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I bought that Snap-on one, and it's been nothing but a problem. The batteries, you're always having to stretch the spring out in it to make it work. Nothing but problems ever since I've had that thing. And I think this is actually a more higher quality tool, to be completely honest with you. There's Snap-on stuff that's good, but some of their stuff is some really overpriced type shit, you know. It's just like buying a John Deere. They're living off their name. I know I'm ranting and raving, but it is what it is. Okay, so we've done that. We've torqued our main bearings down. Okay, we're not gonna mess around worrying about that. Okay, the intermediate compression rings. Okay, now they're talking about rings already. Okay, I guess they don't want you to put usually you put your cam in, but apparently we're not doing that. Okay, apparently. Let's see here. Well, let's see here. Okay, so yeah, it looks like to me they want you to put your pistons and rods in. So I guess we'll set all 8 piston and connecting rods are installed into the cylinder block the same way. Only one piston and connecting rod is shown. Okay, square, intermediate compression ring, keystone ring, and of course your oil control ring. So I had all the rods redone. They did all the small ends on the rods. Here they are right here. I guess I must have left a glow plug or something in the cylinder head. There's the dowels that came out of the head, or the block, or whatever. But there those are. So here's all our rods. They've all been redone. So I'm gonna start setting these all up. Well, folks, this is a continuation of the 7.3, but circumstances have changed since the last time I was working on it quite substantially. I have a broken foot. And here's what happened, guys, on that. We'll elaborate on that a little further. So I had a pretty good sized cylinder out there. You can see the size of the nut. And it's just a round gland nut. And I had a big chain wrench, and I actually broke that chain wrench trying to get this off. I had it heated. I could not get it. It was just rusted solid to the threads here. And then I had trouble with it keep turning on me while I was trying to do it the barrel. Anyway, I finally wound up putting the stabilizer of my crane, which jacks my truck up off the ground. I put the stabilizer cylinder on top of the barrel and put the whole weight of the truck on the barrel trying to get the stupid thing loose. And I welded this. You can see where I hit it with a 12-pound sledgehammer. And I put... So here's what happened. Okay, you can see the plate that I welded on there, which I'll take my gouging rod and I'll gouge that weld back off and clean that up, and you'll never know what happened. But I had wrapped a strap around that big cylinder, and I pulled it over. I was trying to reposition it because I had actually got the thing loose, and I got it spun around, and I was trying to get it repositioned under the leg of that cylinder on my crane, or on my truck, to put down pressure on it again, to whack it again with the hammer. Well, I wrapped a strap around it, and I pulled it kind of towards me like this, and when I pulled it, this plate rocked over, and the entire weight of that cylinder and the plate landed on top of my foot right here. And we actually went and got the x-ray this morning, and it split the bone right where the joint is, where the next toe towards your big toe meets the joint right there. It cracked that bone right there in line, which there ain't a whole lot they can do for it, but they said give me this boot and try to take it easy, which, you know, that probably isn't going to happen. So anyway, Lulu, are you already trying to get out the dog door? So here's where we're at on this thing. We'll continue on. Your typical machine shop stuff here is I'm trying to find my light here. Got a couple puppies here that need to get this transmission loaded up and get it back for a core. I've been sitting on my butt for 3 days, and my foot feels a lot better. But anyway, enough crying about that. Let's continue on. So I got my timing mark for my crankshaft pointing straight up. Well, I was putting this cam in, guys, and then I noticed typical machine shop type situation that they pulled all the gallery plugs out and they didn't even send them back. Most of the time they'll send them back to you in a Ziploc bag, and you're supposed to figure out where all that shit goes that they pulled out. So I went to the heat and steel there and grabbed a couple pipe plugs. Lulu, what are you doing, girly? My little wiener dog's in here with me. So we're gonna work from the shop today at home. Man, this stuff's been sitting a while in their store because it's all separated, and I might have to go get a screwdriver and mix this stuff up. All the PTFE is separated from the paste, and that's not good. Dripping it right on my boot they give me. That's making a mess. Get these pipe plugs in the main gallery bores here. I'll have to go find an Allen wrench to tighten these up. Let me go over here and let's do that and find an Allen wrench that fits that. Which I don't even know if I got an Allen set in this. I keep buying more and more tools, and you know, like here's more tool. Here's that special tool for that trailer I did that I probably will sit there and collect dust now, but it is what it is. I got the job done. Hopefully it's done correctly. I do have Allens, never mind, I forgot. I did buy a bunch of Allens that one day. Let's see, what do we got here? It should be an SAE situation here. Okay, let's go over here and Trying to remember what I did with all the ratchets. It's a 1/2-inch drive, kind of overkill for what we're trying to do here, but I better take my little wiener dog in. She's already cold. She's just a little bitty thing, so it doesn't take much for her to get cold. There goes the light. I need these to go flush if I can, because the thrust plate's going to hit them if I don't, but they almost act like they're... Man, I hope we don't run into problems here. It's not really wanting to go flush. I'm not really liking that very much. Well, let's check this out real quick. That's why I kind of wanted the plugs that came out of it, you know. Why is that not going on in? Okay. There we go. Now, is that going to interfere with anything? If I go like that, let's see here. The thrust plate goes over here like that. Okay, those Allen plugs should not interfere with anything as far as I can tell. No, we should be all right. Okay. Okay, let's pull it back out. Now that we know that those Allen plugs are not going to interfere with the thrust plate of the cam, which those shitheads would have thrown the ones that come out of it in a bag or something and sent them back with it. But I'm just... I guess all I can really say is that I'm not surprised. I'm kind of used to that being the situation. One of these 7.3s I had at the machine shop one time was kind of the same situation. They had went through the whole thing and same thing, they didn't put them back and I wasn't paying attention and it was my fault too. Now I know. I thoroughly check all these galleries now that I know that they're gonna pull all this stuff out and not put them back. So anyway, on that particular engine, you know, these are a HUI'd engine. If you don't know what HUI stands for, that's a hydraulic unit electronic injector. Basically, the injectors are controlled from engine oil pressure off your high pressure oil pump. There's an amplifier piston on the actual injector that amplifies the pressure. So you're going to have a oil pressure on top of the injector, and it's putting a higher pressure out the bottom where the fuel side is. Okay, so let's figure out what the timing mark. Anyway, if you have no oil pressure off the low pressure oil system, i.e., you know, cranks, main bearings, things like that, then you're not going to have high pressure oil as well. You're not going to have that going on for you either. Okay, there's a timing mark there. Just making sure. Where did it go? I've lost it. Gotta get this thing a little bit closer here. There we go. Gotta find my timing mark again. Somewhere in that vicinity. right there. Gotta get this last journal to line up here. That's being a little bit stubborn. Oh, okay guys, I torqued one head and went in the house and put my foot up for a while and just trying to not overdo it too much and end up making things worse. So came back out here for a little bit of rest and I'm gonna go after her again. Got the one head torque, so yeah, I know you're probably wondering. I don't trust this damn cheap ass lifting stand that I bought. It's got a 1,250 pound capacity, but I mean, look, it's already been in these ears over, you know. So if I'm not here, I put the strap on it and just take some of the load off this end of the engine. But anyway, Josie, would you're not helping the situation too much there, girlie. I know you just want to go, you just want to do things, I understand. I gotta go over here and let me hobble over here and get the torque wrench. Okay, so the first step is 65 foot-pounds, and second step is 85, and third step is 95. And let's go over here to 65. And you start in the middle and work your way up. It's pretty straightforward on these. And it's the same thing I do on all the rest of them, guys. I like to get my threads wet, and then I like to put a little bit of oil in the shoulder of the boat, and I put a little bit of oil with a squirt gun just right on the surface that the head of the shoulder of the boat's going to grab. That way they don't bite too bad, and sometimes they still do even after you do that. So I'll tell you what made this thing feel a lot better. Actually, they gave me this this special boot to put over my foot, and it's got an air pump on it, a little manually operated hand pump, and I actually aired that up because I was talking to my buddy Dave down there. You guys that have been watching this channel forever, you probably remember that really nice 389 Peterbilt that I did the ISX Cummins overhaul in years ago. That was Dave, and he's a really good friend of mine. And anyhow, Dave is probably 10 years older than me. I'm 48, so I know he's got to be pushing 60. And anyway, those guys load and unload with those things you guys see me working on all the time, them hay squeezers. And he was getting unloaded one day, and the hay squeeze driver was, what happens is they'll be, I don't know if he was loading or unloading. He must have been, well, regardless, he was on there. He had taken his straps off, and for some reason he was on top of the truck. He must have been hauling small bales is the only thing I can think of. For big bales, there shouldn't be any need to be up there, because on big bales, all you do is throw your straps over the top, and then, you know, your ratchet straps, and then undo them off each side, and then you go around to the other side and pull them off, as far as I know. But small bales, you'll usually run V-bars on the front and back of the load. That's the only thing I can think of. Maybe he was untying and taking his V-bars off and getting off. Well, the squeeze driver was on his phone, not paying attention. I've lost track of what I was doing, trying to tell my story here. So we'll just start over. Let me figure out where I'm at, and then I'll start my story over. Okay, I know where I'm at now, right here. Anyway, so now that I'm right here, I know where I'm at. Anyway, he was, usually what the hay truck drivers will do is they'll get a ride up on the clamp, they'll hang onto the mast and put both feet on one of the clamp arms, and just the squeeze driver will give them a ride up, and they'll jump off onto their load, and when they untie, they'll do the same thing and go back down. Well, he went to step on the clamp, and he'd eyeballed him 2 or 3 times and pointed at the clamp as he was going to go down, and as soon as he went to step on the clamp, the guy backed away, and he fell and hit the ground, broke his ankle, really screwed him up bad, and he's been down for months with a broken ankle. You get old. You start getting old, man. This stuff don't heal up near as quick. No, you're staying in here. I cannot trust you to run around outside by yourself. You're too young. You get into things you shouldn't be into. And then Mama gets a hold of me and chews my ass. Because you got into her chickens or something. My wife's got about 50 goats and probably as many chickens. She's something else. I see some of the things that these other women are into, you know. And if the worst thing that my wife ever got into is raising livestock, then you know what, we're not doing too bad. I think I did all right. I see some of the things these other women do, and I'm just going, how do you put up with that shit? Okay. Next sequence is 85 and then 95. Okay, putting the push rods back in. You know, when I took this apart, it's kind of got, if you look at these things, it kind of got like a bronze looking color on one end. Anyway, that end was down when I pulled it apart. I'm just going back together the way it was disassembled on those, because I looked at the book and it didn't say anything about that. These are pretty easy here because the way the head gasket's made kind of has its own little hole in it, so it's kind of hard to miss the cam follower on it. I was sitting down for 3 days. I was watching a old guy there, his name's Wayne. I was watching him. His channel's name is Old Two-Stroker. And then other 2 guys I was watching, of course, I would encourage you to check out Wayne there at Old Two-Stroker. He takes a lot of old trucks, you know, that have Detroits in them. And he had one there, was an old 359 Pete that had a 3408 cat in it, and he got it running. And that was quite an ordeal, getting that one running. But anyhow, he worked on a lot of them old trucks like that, and gets them going. Another channel that I started watching quite a bit of was and I don't know what the guy's name is. I don't know if I ever caught his name on his videos there, but it's On Fire Welding. He's out of Fresno, and he seems like a pretty good dude. Does really nice. Got some really nice equipment, man. He's got a nice service truck and nice welder and plasma cutters. Just a lot of nice stuff. And he works on some pretty nice equipment too. And he gets some of the kind of equipment I get too, some real junkers too that he has to work on. But he's good to watch. And then I was watching, of course, everybody knows Curtis at Cutting Edge Engineering, and Curtis is a hell of a. It seems like me and Curtis would get along pretty damn good. Especially when they do with his wife. I think that's his wife that does the videoing and editing, but I think it's when they do the outtakes on it, you know, and
just when I look at the outtakes, I know me and him would probably get along just fine. I think I'm going to put the rockers on next, and then I'll put the injectors in. So on these 7.3s, I was kind of trying to explain this to a guy that was kind of arguing with me one day, and I finally convinced him. He was telling me, no, there's intake and exhaust rockers on them 7.3s. I said, no, I said, what are you saying? You mean as in like they're different? And he goes, well, yeah, they are. He says, you can't interchange them. I said, yeah, you can. And he said, what do you mean? I said, dude, that's the same part number. The only thing that's different is the way the retainer and the ball. You can take the retainer. It's kind of hard for me to show you, but you can pop this retainer out and turn this retainer over to this side. And it's because these rockers have exactly the same part number on them. The only thing that's different on these is this is on this side of the rocker instead of this side of the rocker. So I was trying to explain that to him, and he wasn't wanting to hear it, but whatever. I told him, I said, just look at the part numbers. He goes, well, they're the same. I said, well, I told you they're not different. The only thing that's different is the retainer is on the different side of the rocker. I think he finally was starting to figure out what I was trying to tell him, but he was just very argumentative about it. I had that air pump pumped up on this foot, and it was starting to bother me, and I released the pressure off that air pump. Now it feels a lot better. Gotta look up and see what the torque is on these. I don't remember off the top of my head. These have hydraulic lifters, so you don't have to set valve last or anything like that. What's happening here? Back that one back off. There it goes. Yeah, I think I'm going to start doing, if I can get that guy to pay for that retrofit that I did on that Peterbilt, I think I'm going to buy a, not the big high dollar line bore like that guy at On Fire Welding, that Climax, man, that's expensive. He's got the hydraulic power unit that runs it and everything. I mean, that's an expensive setup. I'm going to start out cheap and start doing some of these farmer stuff and get the hang of it, you know, and I'm going to start doing some of that line boring. And the reason I want to do some of this kind of stuff is I'm looking for some of this kind of stuff to where I can make it easier on my body. So I'm getting tired of some of this heavy, hard stuff that I've been doing. I'm getting tired of it, you know. Head's torqued. Let's see, I'm looking for rockers. Let's see, what are they saying there? Install the glow plugs, 14 foot-pounds. Okay, then they went, I guess I should have put the injector in first, but I didn't. They're torqued down to 10 foot-pounds. Okay, the rockers are 20 foot-pounds. Okay. So we'll go over these guys and torque all these rockers down to 20 foot-pounds. And then I've got to get every injector. You know, you got to pay, the only thing you really need to pay attention to on these injectors, on these 7.3s, is the number 8 is going to be a long lead injector. And you'll always notice number 8 will have the connector for the electrical connection on it will be blue. And you'll read the top of the coil and it'll say LL for long lead. That goes in number 8 cylinder. Don't forget that. The rest of them are all the same. Okay, guys. Just kind of show you what we got going on. We got the one side together. I am looking for losing my mind here. Had a guy call me from Oklahoma. And he called me a while back, I guess, about a truck with an X15 and anyhow, on that X15, I guess it was derating, and I can't remember the entire story. I get so many of these phone calls that hang on, I gotta kind of need to pay attention here. I don't suck them down tight with impact, I just snug them up. Just like to feel anything if it's binding, because you got hydraulic lifters and trying to remember. I took it somewhere. I took it to some dealer. And the dealer put a different, what do you do? They didn't delete it, but the emission stuff was all still on it. But something happened and they put a different file in it or something, and I can't remember the whole thing being, it's evading my memory for some reason right now. But anyway, the sort of it all, I told him, I said, well, if they did that and they erased all the codes, we don't have anything to go off of. I said, you need to take it back, tell them to put the stock in-cal file that was in the truck back in it. So we took it to the dealer. They put the file back in it. I guess it's been through 3 different dealers now trying to figure this problem out. I said, well, drive it down the road. These are 20 foot-pounds. He calls me today. Tells me this whole story that I just told you. And I said, so is it throwing any codes at all? Well, the only thing it's throwing is the crankcase blow-by code. And I said, well, get out and unplug it. I said, is it a circuit code or is it... He couldn't tell me that really, but anyway, I told him to get out and unplug it. Unplug the son of a bitch and drive it. And I said, if you unplug it, it's going to throw a circuit code and it's probably going to throw your check engine light on. I said, but it won't derate. It shouldn't derate. I said, it's going to derate if it's seeing crankcase pressure and the sensor's doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it sees high crankcase pressure, it will derate. So he got out and unplugged it, and he's on the phone with me, and he says, man, it would have derated by now. If it was going to do it, it'd have derated by now. He said when he got real good heavy power into it and got it into 18th gear, he said it really started building manifold pressure. I said, well, your engine, sounds like to me you're going to be overhauling your engine. It sounds like to me, but anyway, sounds like to me his whole problem was blow-by. That valve is open. The guy goes, he says, what the hell, we take it to 3 different dealerships around here and they can't tell us anything, and we call some guy over the phone and he figures it out right over the phone. I don't know, maybe them guys just weren't seeing or getting the full story, I don't know. Can't run these guys down too much, you know. They're trying. I'm probably going to get this side together, get all the rockers in it, get the injectors in this one. I just wanted to show you guys I'm going to keep going with video on this assembly. we won't finish the assembly today. It's almost 5 o'clock right now, and I'm gonna get up early and try to, I wanna go put my feet up, you know, and get some of this weight off this foot for a while. And I got a feed truck with a rear end out in it. So I was thinking ahead. Being as I'm injured, I would usually just go out there and just pull it out and just drop it on the ground, which I'll still do that, but putting it back together, it's got a feed box on it, a Kirby feed box. So with the Kirby feed box, I got to thinking, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna weld me a piece of angle iron, cut a hole on the bottom of that Kirby feed bed, and I went to Harbor Freight and I bought a 3/4 ton chain fall. When I put that thing in, I'm gonna put some guide studs in that housing of that rear end. Then I'm gonna put a lifting eye in that chain fall, or on the lifting eye on that rear end on the differential, and I'm gonna use that chain fall and put it on that eye I weld on there, and I'm just gonna lift it in and line it up with the guide studs and shove it in there. I'm not gonna, with this injured foot, I'm definitely not going to be fighting that in. No way. Oh, okay, so you'll see, let's go over here and I'll show you firsthand. Let's set that injector down right there. You'll notice that on these bolts, so you got a bolt that's, here's the 2 different bolts that'll go in your injector. One's got this longer shoulder on it like that right there, and one doesn't. So the one that doesn't have that really long shoulder like that on it, put it on the side that your glow plug and stuff and you know, everything plugs into. And what you do, I'll show you. I don't pull the spill spouts off these, I leave them on there. But rock that forward that way it'll kind of go over that bolt. And you can whack it with your hand, or, and I don't get a regular hammer and start beating on this. This is a soft, this is not even a hard rubber mallet. This is a soft one. Okay, I get a soft rubber mallet. This is actually a real rubber mallet. And I just tap it like that, and then I put, see, then you can cam this hole down over, just like that, and then put it in there. But torque that first bolt down to 10 foot-pounds, and then take your other bolt, get it started in there. Let's go ahead and get this one torqued down. But torque that bolt down. And this one gets torqued down to 10 foot-pounds, 120 inch-pounds. All I'm trying to say is don't get a regular hammer out and start wailing on the top of that injector. Okay. Now that one's torqued down. All right. And that's all there is to it. So, anyway, just got to put the seals on the rest of the injectors, guys. And put the rest of the injectors in it, and then put the other valve cover on it. And I start putting the rest of this thing together. But I've had enough for the day with this foot. I'm gonna go inside and put my foot up there and put some ice on it and make this video. Thank you for watching.